this is where the pipeline is planned to cross. It's going to be crossing the Mississippi River 2 times, and one of the times is right up here at the headwaters. And the headwaters are the northernmost point where, if there were to be a spill, it would then go downstream and could affect the entire Mississippi River, which provides clean, fresh drinking water for over 15 million Americans. So way in the back there, some people led by and to honor the treaties of this land that I'm on right now. Police are supposed to leave at about 5 p.m. Central Time to make sure pie here as well. So now I'm just going to walk down towards the entrance to that lumber matting where people were occupied on. At the Two Inlets pump station a week ago today, there were over 200 water protectors who were arrested or cited. And it was one of the biggest direct actions, at least for against like fossil fuels in the United States. Hey everyone, this is Alex with Unicorn Riot. We're here live. The service is bad, I have to say. We're live from Clearwater County, where about 75 or 100 people are here for the water and the land and to honor the treaties. This big bird that is sitting on the Mississippi Headwaters wetlands right here, it says, "Protect the water, President Biden. You can't drink oil, no water, no life." And out on the boardwalk behind the bird is the lumber matting that Enbridge set up to be able to have heavy machinery go across wetlands, because their machinery, the wheels and treads are just so heavy and big that they could sink and get stuck. So that's in the background. Today was the day that Enbridge basically told the Clearwater sheriff that the folks who were camped out here needed to leave, and so the Clearwater Sheriff's Department is here right now, and before leaving for the day, people marched out onto the edge of the matting and did some ceremony and prayer by the Mississippi headwaters, laid tobacco in the water, and then people marched, which we went live like right after folks marched down, but everyone marched back down towards the highway where this bridge over the Mississippi River is, where I'm standing on right now. And if you can hear cheering in the background, unfortunately the data is a little bit spotty out here. We're in a very rural part of northern Minnesota, so I'm gonna stay here so that, you know, just to give this update. Yeah, so there are about 75 to 100 people here. This encampment and occupation at this site at the Mississippi headwaters started on last Tuesday evening, or like the ceremony to name this camp as Firelight Camp was Tuesday evening, but people actually started setting up camp on Monday in conjunction with the massive direct action and occupation at the Two Inlets pump station that we were live for beginning Monday morning. There was also a march near here that landed at this headwaters, and so at that point people decided they wanted to occupy this space. So right now I'm going to give you a better look at, just give me a second. So this right here is the Mississippi River. This is the northern point of the Mississippi River. And this is where Enbridge plans to cross the river. Enbridge plans for the new Line 3 pipeline to cross the Mississippi River 2 times. One of the times is right up here. For over 15 million people. So if there's a spill, especially at the headwaters, that could potentially flow all the way down to the very end of the Mississippi, and there are so many tributaries that also flow out of the Mississippi. I'll cross also and get this other view. So again, here's the Mississippi River. This is the headwaters in northern Minnesota. There's a Minnesotans for Line 3 sign stuck into the ground in the background there. If you can, there's an ambulance with their lights on I don't know if anyone's going to be going into it, but I think the Clearwater sheriffs just called it to be on standby. There are, I think I counted 5 Clearwater sheriff's deputies vehicles here. They arrived at about 5 Central, which they said they would. And again, this encampment, this occupation here at the Headwaters has been going on officially since last Tuesday evening. And there may be people getting cited, I'm not sure. Unfortunately, this is where a solid point for streaming is, where I am right now on the bridge over the Mississippi. So I'm gonna stay put here, but we will get you all updated in a bit. Make sure to check out our Twitter. It's at @UR_ninja. You can find us on Facebook as well. You can find us on Instagram. We also have our own website, unicornriot.ninja. So another point that I don't believe, I'm pretty positive no one is getting arrested. So at this point, if anyone, there may potentially be citations. However, the goal was not to do anything arrestable, I guess. So it's not expected for anyone to get arrested, but anything can really happen. So, but yeah, I believe most people are now, as you can see, kind of congregating on the side of the highway. And this particular camp, this Firelight Camp, was led by Indigenous women elders primarily from the White Earth Reservation. And we actually were here in February when the White Earth Camp, which is resisting Line 3 as well as honoring treaties and is very focused on prayer and ceremony. When that camp started on February 20th, 2021, and we spoke with Dawn Goodwin, and she spoke about the 1855 treaty, which this land, that agreement, that contract, is supposed to protect this land. And I'm just going to read a quote from her that's in an article that we published. It says, "This 1855 treaty was made with the agreement of letting the settlers come and settle the lands and prosper. And the Anishinaabe agreed to live in peace. So it's often misunderstood that we were given rights. We actually retained our rights and gave the rights to the settlers to come and settle land." And then Nancy, who is another Indigenous woman leader, said, "We signed those treaties with your forefathers to protect our culture, our way of life. We have never ever surrendered our right to protect our water, and we're not about to give it up." So even though this land, settlers were and are allowed to live on it as per those treaties are also supposed to protect the land and the water so that the indigenous people to this land can still use the land how they have been for centuries, can fish, can harvest wild rice, can do ceremony, can hunt, can gather. So, you know, a tar sands pipeline going through this Mississippi headwaters right here could affect that if there's a leak. And just being built through it could be seen as a form of desecration as well. Folks are cheering up ahead. I'm not quite sure what that means. I'm gonna zoom in. Again, I would be closer, but since we are very in rural northern Minnesota, the connection is good in some places and not great in others. So here we are. Sorry for it being, I'm just trying to get a good so there you can see in the background the ambulance, and then 4 or 5 police vehicles, and then people congregating right in front. And another note I want to make sure to emphasize, you know, while I'm doing this update on this camp, is that this morning at about 10 a.m., the appeals court that was ruling on whether the Public Utilities Commission, 3 permits that they approved and issued to Enbridge, whether those were still like legitimate or not. And this morning, 2 of the 3 judges voted in favor of Enbridge in that ruling. If the majority rule was against Enbridge, those 3 permits would have been revoked, and at the very least, you know, work would have had to stop temporarily. However, it didn't go that way, and so Enbridge is continuing to work. Driving to this site, I passed work sites, and yeah, they were definitely busy working today, you know, it being Monday. And what's interesting is that during the hearing for the PUC, for the appeal of the PUC decisions, the judges were asking very critical, or very questions that seemed critical of Enbridge. So, you know, Enbridge was trying to say that the demand for this new pipeline was coming from the tar sands mining, and that was legitimate. And the judges kept asking and pushing. It seemed like they were pushing against that, but evidently they, you know, they ended up favoring with them. I'm just going to read a little bit from this article we published about that hearing as you watch kind of the scene unfold at the closing of Firelight Camp in Clearwater. So during that hearing, it seemed like 2 judges were the main people speaking. So I don't know if the third just wasn't there or the third just was quiet the whole time. But the two judges that lawyer over and over about evidence for the demand, not the supply. However, and Jason Marisam, attorney for the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission, also argued that the demand for the pipeline can be seen through how it's used, such as capacity. The two judges questioned Marasem about evidence of the demand. He then declared an assumption of the constant demand can be made with historical and current data. The judges kept pushing and said that it's required to submit a forecast of demand, including from refineries. And they asked him directly if there was a forecast of demand for refineries. And Marasem said that they didn't accept that. So from the hearing, it did not seem like the permits fulfilled what was necessary. And the judges seemed to almost agree from my perspective in hearing and reporting on that hearing. So anyway, this morning, 2 of the 3 judges ruled in favor of Enbridge. So you can check out that article at unicornriot.ninja. It's called Appealing Line 3 Pipeline, Supply and Demand at Root of Hearing. It was published at the end of March. So yeah, I'll just do another quick wrap up, and then I'll get more updates about if people got cited, if any people got cited, and I'll provide updates later on about the situation. But for now, this is the closing of Firelight Camp. This was here officially since last Tuesday evening, this camp, and last Monday at the same time that the massive occupation and action was happening at the 2 Inlets pump station that we streamed from like on Monday till midnight, and then the work access road to the pump station. So if you if you didn't see our coverage, we have an article out on that action, as well as the start of this camp. It's called Indigenous-Led Blockades Occupy Line 3 Pipeline Sites. It was published on June 10th, so you can read about occupation. And so that's when this camp started up. I'm gonna cross the street again and show that lumber matting where people had been camped out. So we've published photos and at least one short video of what this looked like when there were people living on it. But yeah, so you would be seeing, tents and different structures for shade, and like at its height there were probably like 75 people who were camping on top of this lumber matting. And so where that lumber matting is, that is not the actual, as far as I understand, that's not the exact route where the pipeline will actually be going. However, that is where the construction equipment travels over. And then you can't see it through those trees, but there's a big clearing behind that set of trees where I believe the pipeline will go. And again, it will cross the Mississippi River right here. I'm not sure if it's on this side or the other side of the bridge, but in this location is where it's gonna do one of those Mississippi River crossings. The resistance to Line 3 has definitely been increasing, just as the work that Enbridge is doing on the pipeline is increasing. They had a short wetlands moratorium when it was spring because the wet season just made it dangerous and difficult for them to do the pipeline work at that point. And also I think there were some environmental reasons as well, like for the safety of the land also. But at the beginning of June that ended. So during those months when the moratorium was happening, Enbridge and their contract workers were focusing on pump stations and other infrastructure like that, but now they're doing it all. They're back to laying pipe, and they're back to they're continuing with the pump stations as well. That Two Inlets pump station that was occupied for over 24 hours last week. Construction is happening today. I'm sure it was happening later in the week as well, but it's definitely happening today. I saw it happening, and yeah, this fight has been ongoing for over 7 years, and obviously from that appeal hearing this morning, one of the reasons that water protectors have said they continue to put their body on the line is because when they go the legal route and try to, appeal and fight this pipeline in court, it doesn't work. And I think that decision this morning shows that. So, yeah, again, we're in Clearwater County. I will update everyone on if anyone was cited and how many people. But yeah, I think we are going to go down. Unfortunately, I can't get closer because of the data out here in rural Minnesota, but I think seeing the wetlands and seeing the Mississippi River, accurately highlights what water protectors are fighting for in this fight. And this bird in the background also, all the wildlife that would be affected if there's a spill. And Enbridge has a record of spills, not just the Kalamazoo spill and not just the biggest inland spill in U.S. history, but there are many other spills and leaks in Enbridge's pipelines. So thank you all for watching this short update. We'll continue to cover the line through resistance up here in northern Minnesota, which is an Anishinaabe territory. And yeah, you can check out unicornriot.ninja to see all of our previous coverage and to keep your eyes on any upcoming coverage. And if you appreciate our work and want to continue helping us spread this knowledge about this fight and also all our other coverage that we do all across this land, but also in South Africa, and contributions from Brazil and Greece and elsewhere. So yeah, we appreciate your support in any way you're able to provide support. Thank you so much for watching. This is Alex with Unicorn Riot, and yeah, I'll be signing off from here in Clearwater County in northern Minnesota, where the Firelight Camp is closing. I think there's just one structure left on the edge of the lumber matting because of its ceremonial and cultural significance. And then I think this bird is just gonna stay there